Welcome to this video. I'm so glad that you could join me. I'm going to be tackling a topic here that trips up a lot of people when they start out with their budgeting. So if you are like most people, one of the big things that you spend a lot of money on is groceries. And how do you tackle that problem? How do you get that bill under control? This is one of those topics that it can cause a lot of friction, especially between the person who's buying the groceries and the person who is doing the budget. Right now we're spending about $20 per week per person in our household. So for our family of 4, we're spending about 80 bucks per week. One of the first areas that I hope you'll look at before you even start trying to do your budget is looking at how much food waste you're actually putting into the trash. If you're like most American families, you're throwing about a quarter of everything you buy into your trash can. That's 25%. So imagine you're walking out the door of your grocery store, you have 4 bags in your hand, you just toss one of those right into the trash. This is the first place to look at cutting, not necessarily at just saying you're going to buy less, but first analyze what it is that's ending up in the trash. For many of us, this is produce. We buy produce, we think we're going to make these great meals, and then 1 week later, 2 weeks later, we look in the bottom of our produce drawer, if that's what you have, that's what I have, and you see, oh, there's a head of cauliflower, there's a head of broccoli, and 2 bell peppers, and you never even used them. You end up throwing them away. Maybe a couple of cucumbers in there. And if you're shopping at Whole Foods, this is ending up to be a lot of money. The second area is to actually take a look what's in your pantry. So most of us are actually building up grocery, dry good product in our pantries. We're not actually using what we buy every week. So for a lot of people, and this is held true with different people that I've talked to, different people that I've coached, you have probably about a month's supply of dry good just in your pantries and your cupboards. So one of the first areas I would recommend is just analyze, what am I not actually using every single week? The next thing is to say, how much am I willing to spend per person per week? And you should really think about how you're handling that. Are you doing 3 meals a day? If you're doing 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, that's 21 meals that you have to produce. For my family, we actually don't do it quite like that. We usually figure about 4 dinners per week. And what's happening with the rest of our meals is that they're leftovers. Maybe they're simple things like fruit and yogurt, or perhaps we are doing eggs and toast, things like that for breakfast. So there's many opportunities here where you're not actually doing full meals. So don't have to think about necessarily 3 squares a day. The next thing to keep in mind here is that most whole foods are actually less expensive than processed. Now, it doesn't appear that way on the surface, but when you actually get into the cooking part of it, you'll realize this is true. So if I buy a head of cauliflower and a chicken breast, I have enough of food just between those 2 things to actually feed 4 people for a meal. I'm going to oven roast that cauliflower. I'm going to shred that chicken. I'm going to put a little barbecue sauce maybe on it, or maybe I'll just cube it up and roast it. But either way, I can feed actually 4 people just off of that one thing. And that costs me about $4 for that meal. So there's some really creative things you can do. If you do not currently follow anyone, I really recommend that you jump online, find a food blog that is focused on whole foods. Those tools will allow you to get some ideas on how to make meals that are simple, healthy, and they also do not cost a fortune. Getting down to the actual dollars and cents. Once you've decided approximately how many different things, how many different meals you're going to be making every week, I recommend you try to figure out how much you think those will actually cost. Don't forget to include some of your essentials, maybe your milk and your eggs, your bread. Those are kind of separate maybe from your meals, but you want to make sure that you're capturing those. Come up with a total of what you think it will be, and then double it. Now you have enough of money to tackle this for your first week, but try to stick close to that original number that you thought. You definitely don't want to be caught short as you're figuring out your food budget. Here's the thing, have fun with this. You don't have to have it all dialed in right away, but I really would like to see you get down towards that $20 per person per week number. You'll get good at this, you really will. You'll make a game out of it. You'll see what deals are going on that week, and you'll be able to buy those things. Things to avoid, the high profit margin things that you can get easily sucked into. You know, any kind of prepared foods such as like the ready baked pizzas. Even at the deli, you can catch yourself making mistakes. If you buy the prepackaged meat and cheese, you typically get less for your money than if you would have bought it with slicing it up per order. The other thing to watch out for is fruits and vegetables. If you buy the whole product, you do the cutting up yourself, you will spend much less than if you're buying the prepackaged containers. Things like berries, they're very high profit margin, and you probably don't have to have those except maybe on special occasions. If you buy the basic bread and butter items, you will find that there's plenty of room, plenty of opportunities on your grocery budget. One other detail here, I do recommend that you kind of have a separate category for things like toiletries and your other household essentials. I'm talking about trying to focus on your actual groceries. Then have an amount that you're willing to spend on toiletries each week or month as well. That way you don't get the two confused. If you have a huge increase in toiletry costs, you don't want to get confused and think that you're spending a lot more on food. So maybe you have your hair care products and your toilet paper, paper towels, those types of things, and you just have them ring them up separately. If it's a significant enough portion, maybe you run them all together, but at least know how much you're spending just in your toiletries category. If couponing is your thing, or if it interests you, excites you, there's a lot of online tools that can help you out here. I personally do not know much about couponing. It's not something that my family has engaged in. We pretty much stick to just buying the products that we need, and we've been really successful without the couponing side. But I do know people who have gone way above and beyond with the couponing tools. So there are a lot of options out there. The one thing I encourage you here is don't get discouraged. This is one of those things that you can do to save a lot of money for your family and probably even live a little bit healthier just by paying a little closer attention to your groceries. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. If you have other questions, don't hesitate to comment down below.